Don't get blinded by the light from fame. We're all ordinary people at the end of the day. We make decisions, some good, some bad, but we all pushing for things we never had.
Ordinary people with extraordinary ways.
Yeah.
Everyday people trying to make a way.
It's just us.
Ordinary people with extraordinary ways.
Yeah.
Trying to make a difference step by step each day. It's just us.
Hi, I'm Charlene Bowden. Welcome to It's Just Us. Today I am joined by comedian, actress, and TV personality, Miss Vicki Lawrence. And joining Miss Lawrence is Neeta Ogden, Dr. Ogden. Ladies, welcome to It's Just Us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Miss Lawrence, it is such an honor to get a chance to speak with you. And I read in your bio that when you were in high school, you sent a letter to Carol Burnett asking her to attend one of your events. What did you think would happen when you sent the letter to her?
I don't think I even asked for a response. I just wrote her a little fan letter because everybody in high school said that I looked like Carol Burnett. And I entered a little contest my senior year, and the newspaper gal, when she was covering the contest, wrote in the newspaper that I bore a striking resemblance to a young Carol Burnett. And my mom said, why don't you write her a fan letter? And I was a big fan letter writer when I was a kid anyway, but it was mostly to all the guys that were on TV at the time. And so I just wrote, said that everybody says I look like you. I'd love to meet you someday. I don't think I asked for much of anything. Just happened to land on her desk at the right time, and she was just getting ready to put the Carol Burnett show together. And it was just very serendipitous timing.
Wow, what a great story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
So tell us about your latest projects.
I'm mostly on the road now with a show that I put together. We take it to performing arts centers and a lot of casinos. It's called Vicki, Lawrence, and Mama, a two-woman show. And me and the old lady make everybody laugh.
Well, you know that's something that you do oh so well, and I greatly appreciate you for that. And we're going to talk now about something that you're helping to raise awareness about, which is a serious condition called CIU. Share your personal story.
Yeah, well, I broke out in hives about 6 years ago and just assumed that I was allergic to something or had done something crazy, or I thought, yeah, I don't feel like I'm under stress, but, you know, hives to me was always like your mother-in-law's nervous breakdown, you know, or something your grandmother did, something Mama would do. But never occurred to me that it would be me. So off to the allergist, who said most people break out in hives at some point in their life. Usually nothing comes of it. We treat it, it goes away, you'll never think about it again. So we spent 6 weeks doing everything you can think of that you would do for an allergic reaction. Nothing worked. At the end of 6 weeks, he said to me, I'm going to diagnose you with chronic idiopathic urticaria. And I had never heard such a mouthful. Honestly, I thought he was making it up. So I went home and I, got on the web and started looking for answers. And there was no good information out there. Fortunately, my allergist was very familiar with CIU, and we were able to manage my condition. As it turns out, there are 1.5 million people in the country that have chronic idiopathic urticaria. Chronic meaning it's lasted for 6 or more weeks. Idiopathic means the doctor cannot tell you why it's happening, and urticaria is the fancy doctor word for hives. So we were able to manage my condition. That's all great. About 2 years ago, I was fortunate enough to put my story and my face on this website, ciunu.com. It's supported by the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America. It's made possible by Genentech and Novartis. It's a smart, wonderful, educational website where you can get a lot of great information. If you listen to my story and it rings a bell, then maybe you will read on, and hopefully it will just make people a little bit more comfortable and more proactive about getting to the right doctor and managing their condition.
Wow, Vicki, I appreciate you sharing your story with us. Dr. Ogden, I want to bring you into the conversation. What are some of the risk factors for this condition?
You know, there aren't clear-cut risk factors. What we do know is that it's more common in women, 2 times more likely in women than men. However, men are still affected by it. It tends to strike between the ages of 20 and 40 years old. But other than that, there's not clear risk factors, and there isn't, oh, well, this is due to, you know, my mom had it, some genetic component. This is what we often see. People are looking for risk factors, and they're looking for triggers and causes, and they're eliminating foods from their diet and detergents on that quest to find what is causing the hives. And by the time they come see someone like me, an allergist, a light bulb really goes off in my head that this person has CIU, because that's a classic thing. Hives that have been going on for over 6 weeks and have no clear cause, and that's usually what patients say. I just can't figure out what it is. So it is important on that note for people to land in the right hands, get treated by an allergist or a dermatologist who are specialists in treating CIU, and really take some control by taking pictures of your hives, sharing that with your doctor, and also keeping track of your symptoms. What's the quality of the itching like? How often do you get it? All of this information is very useful to physicians as they help manage this effectively.
Are there any other symptoms like a fever, for example?
Not usually fever. It's often intensely itchy hives, and the hives can come and go. That's an interesting thing about them. They may last for just a few minutes on your arm and then show up on your leg. So that's why it's also important to take pictures, because they may not be there when you see your doctor. The other thing you may notice is that when you press on them, they blanch. They sort of become pale in the center. But hives and itchiness and hives that spread kind of all over your body and coalesce into larger hives, those are the classic signs of CIU.
Wow. So what kind of responses are you receiving from patients with CIU about this program?
People are excited by the website ciunu.com because it's providing them with information. Vicki's personal story, it really makes them feel less isolated, because it can feel difficult and confusing at times, but it's a great resource because it really demystifies it. It makes you realize that this is something that you can learn more about, both as patients and doctors. So I think it's widening the community and generating awareness, and patients and physicians appreciate that.
I'm sure they do. So, Ms. Lawrence, how have you been able to manage the condition?
Well, as I said, fortunately, we have a really good allergist in our community that we've used over the years, you know, with kids and what have you. And he was familiar with the condition, so we were able to find a way to manage my hives. And I have not seen a hive in probably 4 years now. But that's not to say that they won't come back, because for me, as for many of us, they are chronic. So that the important thing is to get to that right allergist or the right dermatologist, and you all have a conversation, get them pictures, get them a diary that you've kept about your hives, and the two of you find a plan to manage your hives.
So how did it impact your day-to-day activities?
Well, you know, it's itchy. For me, you know, you were talking about how it comes and goes. For me, it was 6 weeks of really itching. And anybody who's ever had hives will certainly attest to the fact that once you touch them, they just go nuts. I would claw welts all over my body, and then the welts would, you know, turn into continents, and it was just incredible. I figured my skin was never going to look normal again. Yeah, so I understand what people are going through out there. I've had a chance to talk to a lot of patients through this program. I talked to one woman who said, I started crying when I saw the website, because she said, as far as I knew, you were the only other person in the world that had any idea what I was going through. So it's great that we are, now I think when you look up, if you Google CIU, or if you're smart enough to type out chronic idiopathic urticaria, our website comes up right away. So I'm very proud of the fact that we are actually reaching people and teaching them and educating them, and hopefully helping them be proactive and find the right answers for themselves.
Wow, I really appreciate you sharing your personal story and your journey with CIU, Ms. Lawrence, and thank you both so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Charlene.
And thank you for joining us today as well. Please visit our website at itsjustustalkshow.com. You can email us, join us on social media, tweet, Facebook, connect with us. We love to hear from you. I'm Charlene Bowden, and until next time, I hope that you will continue to happen to life. Take good care.